Speaker of the National Assembly, I did emphasize on the need to recognize that we all hold positions of public trust, and the authority and responsibility vested on us should only be exercised in the best interests of the people of Kenya. However, more than at any other time before, doubt has been placed on our integrity as a House. We are all aware of the recent public discussions and allegations about solicitation and receipt of monetary inducements to consider and pass legislation. In my view, these remain allegations, but must ignite serious soul searching on us and the nation as a whole. Like I remarked at my inauguration, I once again wish to emphasize the sacred calling of leadership. As leaders and members of this honorable House, we are bound by the responsibilities and guiding principles of leadership and integrity enshrined in Article 23 of the Constitution. These are not idle principles, they are alive and speaking and must guide us, not just as leaders, but also as servants of the people of Kenya. Undoubtedly, without integrity, a man or a woman is nothing. Without integrity, leaders lose credibility among the people they lead. And without integrity, even the best executed roles are without impact. And without integrity, leadership means nothing. It fails. Honorable members, the question of integrity is therefore not a choice of what is convenient, but a choice of what is right. As leaders, we must lead from the front by upholding integrity in our different roles, and in this regard, in executing your roles as chairpersons of committees. We always tell our own children that to do good and to do right, you don't have to do it because you are being watched. You do it because it's important to do it anyway. So wherever we are, we must act responsibly, whether we are being oversighted or not, because that is a cardinal duty in human life. Indeed, honorable members, as members, it must be embedded deep in your hearts that you hold positions of public trust, which always demand that you must ask yourself a number of solemn questions. In anything you do, the internal monologue that you ought to hold must address the following questions. Is the manner in which I am exercising my roles consistent with the purpose and objectives of the Constitution? Do my actions demonstrate respect for the people of Kenya? Does what I am engaged in bring honor to the nation and dignity to the office of leadership that I occupy? Am I promoting public confidence in the integrity of the office I hold? Does the manner in which I am exercising my roles demonstrate objectivity and impartiality in decision making, and ensuring that decisions are not influenced by nepotism, favoritism, other improper motives, or corrupt practices? Does it demonstrate selfless service based solely on the public interest, demonstrated by honesty in the execution of my public duties? Have I declared my personal interests that may conflict with public duties? And am I ensuring accountability to the public for my decisions and actions? These are personal questions that find their basis in the Constitution and must be close to your heart at all times. As holders of positions of public trust, I therefore call upon you all to live true to these principles. The consequences of deviating from these principles of leadership and integrity are fully known to us. Indeed, Parliament recently enacted the Conflict of Interest Act 2025, which consolidates provisions relating to conflict of interest under one law. The Act, among other things, prohibits us in the performance of an official duty from granting a person preferential treatment beyond what is allowed by law or a written policy. This allows us from being influenced by offers of outside employment in the exercise of an official power of performance of your duties, prohibits us from entering into contracts for the supply of goods and services, as well as contracts for the disposal of goods with the Parliamentary Service Commission, bars us from acquiring an interest in a legal entity that is party to a contract with the Parliamentary Service Commission, and restricts us from engaging in other gainful employment which is incompatible with our official duties, impairs your judgment in the execution of official duties, or results in conflict of interest. Additionally, the Act establishes an enhanced wealth declaration model that requires you to submit wealth declarations on a biannual basis to the Parliamentary Powers and Privileges Committee under supervision of the EACC. In this regard, I direct the clerk to urgently appraise members of the new modalities of submission of the initial declarations to ensure compliance within the prescribed timelines. As your Speaker, I unequivocally restate my commitment to ensuring that the dignity of the House is upheld as envisaged in the law. Out of all obligations imposed on the Speakership, I owe this most to the institution of Parliament and the people of Kenya. Honorable members, we also have the issue of House business, quorum hitches, and so on. Honorable members, moving on, the other area that requires our intervention, looking at the last 7 months, is the issue of quorum. I don't need to overstate this. I just encourage you, honorable members, that emulate. I don't know who here was in Parliament with Martin Shikuku. Farah Maalim. I don't think Kainan found Shikuku in the House. Martin Shikuku, on each and every day, the Speaker found him in the chamber and the Speaker left him in the chamber. And for the entire sitting time, you would never see Martin Shikuku go to have a cup of tea or even respond to a call of nature. He will just be seated there. And he's the one who made us change the standing orders of Parliament to restrict times of debate. Because Shikuku, on a bill, and without repetition, without being ruled irrelevant, would debate a bill alone for 2 weeks. So after question time, the Speaker would call, this bill is still continuing, and Martin Shikuku was on the floor. And he'll come and speak from 3:30 until 6:30, then you go away. The next day, this bill is still continuing, and the man on the floor was Martin Shikuku. And he would go on to the end of the day, and at no time would anybody find him repetitive or irrelevant. He made us change the standing orders to restrict times that we speak and to create committee system. I want to urge you, and I've talked to my majority and minority leadership, if all of us seated here behaved like Martin Shikuku, we would never have a quorum hitch in the House. I don't agree, I don't know who said here, that when you have a business as a chair, you must be in the House. As a chair, you must be in the House regardless. And if all of you are in the House, then all other members, because many of you, apart from very few, are first-timers. In fact, the only chairs of committees who are first-timers are less than 4. All the rest, you are second-timers, third-timers, and beyond. Please, let's avoid the temptation to give the public fodder to think that we don't work. Because every time the bell rings until it goes off and we go away, the media has a field day. You don't work, you don't care, you're lazy, I don't know what, all sorts of things they say. And then misinformation, disinformation, and fake news takes over to do the damage that we have all been suffering from. So please, let's pay attention to issues of quorum. And I want to encourage you. Honorable members, I know you are now on home stretch. Each one of you is struggling to be re-elected, either in a different capacity or in the same capacity. But you can still manage your parliamentary business and juggle with your home constituency in which you are struggling to get your way back. Public participation is another issue. We've been struggling with the issue of public participation since the new constitution. And one entity that doesn't seem to understand what public participation means is the judiciary. And I've told Murugara and his team, Chepkonga and Otienda Molo, and the team that vetted the new Attorney General. You remember we asked the new Attorney General that we needed within a year to see a public participation law. From where I sit, we should not use public participation to squander public resources. If a bill is coming from National Assembly to the Senate, and you have carried out public participation, must the Senate do the same? I don't think so. And I can give you an example, those of you who participated in the sugar bill. I don't know if Emmanuel Wangu is here. The sugar bill was extensively taken through public participation by the committee. And the sugar growing areas are known. Kwale, Nyanza, Narok, and Western are now parts of Rift Valley. Kwale is coast. I started with Kwale. People in the villages were coming to me as you speak and saying, the committee from Parliament, you know, Wananchi don't know the difference between Parliament and Senate, that we are all Parliament. So they know you are Parliament and that is Senate. They say a committee from Parliament came here and talked to us about sugar, and we all went there and gave our views. Now we see the Senate is also here on the same thing. And we are the same farmers, we are the same people. These are some of the things that the bill we have received from the Attorney General. We also had a bill that had been drafted by Chepkonga or somebody, that we must harmonize and pass this bill because over 70% of our bills have been struck out by the courts on the basis of public participation. And when I engage the Chief Justice, she says, where is the law that guides my judges as to the extent, depth of public participation? So I want us to take this as a priority, that in the next session after recess, in this session after the recess, we give this bill top priority. A bill emanates from the executive. A ministry carries out public participation. It comes to the House. We carry out public participation. It goes to the Senate. They carry out public participation. Somebody goes to court and says, oh, before they did it in the National Assembly, nobody went to the villages. That is why we have now innovated that your offices are our offices in all your constituencies and in all the counties, the women reps. So those are the centers of parliamentary activities in the outreach. That when we want public participation, we go to Kimilili, we go to Nyaribari, we go to Kilifi North, and talk to people through our offices. It's the depository of parliamentary documentation for Wananchi to respond. So once we finish this, because at all those levels, we are spending public money from the same envelope. So this stage, we can bring it to an end as a responsible parliament. So I hope that Murugara and your team and the caucus, you take us through this bill very urgently, because even the Chief Justice, when she comes here, she will be able to raise this probably. Honorable members, in my engagement with the Chief Justice on the ping pong on NGCDF, she has asked me, we quite don't understand, because CDF, you are saying, and I told her we are not saying it is the law, it is money after vertical division of revenue. So CDF is not a share of shareable revenue between counties and the national government. CDF is a share of shared revenue on the side of the national government. So the governors and their COG have absolutely no issue and no interest in CDF. It is not their money. We have already shared the money vertically, and the national government says our unit of focus for development includes the constituency, and we'll put aside this money to go to the constituency to do A, B, C, D. So we want to make everybody who has doubts about CDF understand. So let's protect CDF as much as we can. Honorable members, as I finish, so that we can open up, Ichungwa talked about misinformation and disinformation. I want to add on fake news. There is now a generation of fake news all over, and nobody is targeted more than your speaker. The other day, there was in the Standard, on the page, the Speaker of National Assembly, the Speaker of Senate, about what came out of your PG. You look at the headline, and you go to the story, there is absolutely no relationship.
I get and a week later, Honorable Speaker, boom, a handshake happened. And very many things changed. That those administrators outside Parliament who were opposed to the position that was taken by the clerk then started endearing themselves now to that position, that, oh, now CSW, lazima Rosa aende, lazima Wanga aende. Yeah, because things have changed and changed very fast. That's why in Parliament, Honorable Speaker, we do things as administrators, as if we don't know what is happening in the political arena. And we think that is how things should be. Honorable Speaker, last year, 2023, when we convened as leadership, it was purely house business, commissioners, and chairs of committees. This time, you instructed that we get a bigger team because we are in midterm, because it's part of nurturing leadership. We instructed that we have the vice chairpersons present. We instructed that we have KEOPA, the leadership of KEOPA, the leadership of the County 47, and members, lady members, especially those who are in budget committee, to be part of the leadership this time. That's why members, particularly those who are in liaison committee, you will see differences in attendance compared to other retreats.
Yeah, 1, 2.
Honorable Speaker, you have always reminded us that leadership is not easy, especially when you are leading elected leaders, leading persons who are elected, who are leaders in their own right, having been elected by people. It's even more difficult when you are in midterm of a parliamentary session. You recall when we, in 2023, during this meeting, a similar meeting, the seat currently occupied by Honorable Junet was occupied by Honorable Andai. The Honorable Mwenja was present during that time. The Honorable Minority Leader was not very happy at the time with the seating arrangement which gave Honorable Sabina a seat somewhere. But so much has changed, Honorable Speaker. The leader of majority, so much has changed in your side also. And that is Parliament. That is what we see as administrators, as Parliament. Things change in Parliament within a very short period. And as you move towards elections, Honorable Speaker, particularly year 4 and year 5, it's possible, Honorable Leader of Majority Party and Minority Party, that it is only fair that we consolidate most of the gains during this part in year 4, because year 5 members focus on election, you focus on getting your jobs back, and which we support, because as administrators, there's nothing better than having members re-elected. It is less difficult for us. There's more calmness when you have members coming back, and there's more understanding. It becomes very easy for us to do inductions, and whoever will be clerk that time, whether it's Njoroge or any other person, it becomes very easy for them to administer the institution of Parliament under the leadership of the Speaker and the Commission. So it's our prayer that we consolidate our gains and we try as much as possible to push the most important business in year 3, the remaining part of year 3, and the first part of year 4. It's our prayer that, Honorable Speaker, that this meeting will become a space for renewed leadership synergy, and committee for responsive discharge of the mandate of the National Assembly. Honorable Speaker, you instructed that this time we constrict the program into 1 day, and we bring in more partners. That's why there's going to be another program, not what is on your table, honorable members. The next program for tomorrow morning onwards will be a sitting between yourselves and our judiciary. The first ever. We are grateful, Honorable Speaker, for your leadership. You said that when you took the seat of the Speaker, that you will try to bring the two institutions closer, that you'll try to bring the Senate and the National Assembly closer, and most importantly, that you improve welfare of members of Parliament together with your commission. In your program, when you look at the program, Honorable Speaker, there will be a session to review implementation of resolutions over the 2025 midterm members retreat. Whatever happened in Naivasha, you'll be able to, I'll take you through what has been implemented and what is remaining. I'll take you, you'll also have a space to review legislative and legal developments relating to the Constitution of Kenya. The Honorable Member for Arieda and Honorable Chepkonga. You'll have an opportunity to examine the facilitation available to the House under the approved budget for 2025-2026, and I am sure those who sit in the liaison committee will be very keen to see the budget as part of the House and what has been assigned or allocated to committees and what has been spent so far and what is remaining.